On the Zuntian continent, in the heavenly spiritual domain, the Dongxing kingdom was celebrating the wedding day of the heavenly demonic sect Empress. The ceremony was about to begin, and all guests were required to take their seats right now. The crowned third prince, Lin Xiaoya, entered the hall, and all the guests were talking about how talented he was and the achievements that he had accomplished at such a young age. He had reached the Earth King realm, one of the 9 realms of cultivation. From the warrior realm to the god realm. They were also talking about the status of the groom, Nine Tian, and mocking him. They said that he was a loser who was still a 1-star warrior in their kingdom, even after 3 years of hard work. They were confused and could not figure out why the Empress, who had both beauty and power, had chosen him as her husband. His friends tried to stop him from speaking loudly and slandering the Empress's husband if he wanted to live longer. The scene shifted to the Empress's residence in the heavenly demonic sect. Nine Tian was nervous and anxious. He never thought that he would become a time traveler one day and travel to a cultivation world. His biggest problem was that he was still a 1-star warrior, and his cultivation was not rising at all. He felt like a complete waste, and blamed himself for being a loser who was unworthy of marrying the Empress. As he was talking to himself, the Empress showed up at the door, opened it, and came inside. She asked him if he was awake, and told him that she would get straight to the point. She told him that he needed to understand that the purpose of the wedding was just for show, and nothing more. Nine Tian was surprised by that, and wondered if she was kidding him. He thought that his life was so miserable, and even his marriage was a lie. But then, something unexpected happened. A system popped up in his mind, congratulating him for activating the shocking system. Nine Tian was shocked by that, while the Empress thought that he was ignoring her, and became furious. Nine Tian was thankful that he got a system that would help him in this world of cultivation and change his destiny. He ignored his wife and focused on the system. The Empress approached him and asked him the same question again. She asked him if he had heard what she had said. But Nine Tian suddenly shouted at her to shut up because he was busy. He did not realize that he was talking to the system and not to her. The Empress was stunned and angry by his rude behavior. She did not know that he had a system, and thought that he was disrespecting her. She started to release a strong aura of her power and asked him what he had just said to her. Nine Tian realized that he had made a huge mistake, and forgot that his wife was there. He tried to make excuses, but he could not say anything. He was scared of his wife like a scaredy cat. But then, the system congratulated him. On completing his first shock mission, he got a reward, an aura suppression skill, that could suppress any opponent's aura for 3 hours. Nine Tian was excited, and realized that the system was rewarding him for shocking her. He started to think and analyze the situation. He knew that they had a huge status gap between them, and wondered why she wanted to have a fake marriage with him. He thought that she must have something that she wanted from him, and he knew that the girl would not kill him that easily before getting what she wanted from him. So, he had an idea. He decided to take this opportunity and take advantage of her, to get more rewards from the system. He continued to scold her, and said that he was her husband. So he asked her if she had any objections to him talking that way to her. He touched her face, and a notification from the system popped up. He had completed an ordinary shock, and received a QI blood pill as a reward. He continued to say to her that since they were going to become husband and wife, they should do what couples do. The reaction of his waifu was furious. She glared at him with hatred and tried to push him away. But because of this, he completed his intermediate shock and received another QI blood pill that was automatically consumed. His meridians were repaired, and his cultivation was awakened to the god rank. His martial arts and cultivation skills were increased by 10-folds. He did not expect this. He was not trash anymore. He was happy, and ignored his waifu. She suddenly attacked him with a powerful palm strike. He flew away and fell to the ground. He said that she was too much for that. But she could not tolerate his insolence. She did not stop and continued to attack him. She asked him how he wished to die, while he did not know what to do. He seemed to be in a bad situation. He asked for help from the system to activate the aura suppression skill. The aura of his waifu started to suppress, and she was shocked. She wondered why her aura was suddenly disappearing and what was happening. She felt exhausted, and she lost her power little by little. She fell down to him, and he could not believe it. He was thankful that he had survived that, and wondered why the system was not giving him any rewards. He said that he only had 3 hours left, so he did not have time to waste. He needed to fight and grabbed her hand. She said that if he dared to do anything to her, she would swear that she would kill him. But in this situation, he acted recklessly. He thought that if he was going to die, he might as well find some pleasure and do the forbidden technique to become a man. He gave her a wonderful shock while his beloved waifu endured the magnificent pleasuring shock. He successfully shocked her. And after that intense fight, 3 hours later, he was relaxing and breathing some air while drinking a cup of tea. He said to his waifu that things were done, and it was too late to kill him, and he thought that he was still useful to her anyway, while his waifu was thinking that she needed to be patient. If she killed him now, she would not get the demonic heavenly manual that she wanted. So while she was dressing up, she told him that he needed to go to the palace in the evening, and their wedding ceremony would be held there. She then left the room, and he breathed a sigh of relief. He was thankful that he was still valuable to her, and said that he was crazy to dare treat her like that. But then, the system gave him his reward, a 10 years of cultivation. He was so shocked, and his cultivation realm rose rapidly. 1 hour later, he broke through to the 6-star Black Warrior realm. The system told him that he could view his attributes in the panel, and his status window showed up. He had a godly physique and a 10-folds technique. He asked the system what the godly physique was, but the system had no comments about it. He thought that the system would not answer that, but he was still happy. He could now counterattack and survive in this world. He said that because of this opportunity, he was no longer a loser. He said that one day he would show his power to everyone, even his wife, who was powerful, and the Empress. He thought that he was also capable and strong enough to stand on top of the world. Now, in the evening, in the heavenly demonic palace, they announced the wedding and introduced her to them. She was the 8th generation leader of the heavenly demonic sect, Empress Luowu King. They all said that her presence was dominating, as an immortal emperor realm cultivator. But her legs were shaking because of what had happened recently. They praised her for having both power and beauty, and said that she was worthy of being their empress. But the third prince was heartbroken, and he was sad. He said that the Empress was indeed worthy of her reputation, but it was a pity that she was destined to marry Nin Tian. He sighed, while thinking that. Then, another guy said that he heard that the third prince had secretly admired the Empress for a long time, and based on him, only the third prince was worthy of the Empress. He showed that he was Kuangshu, and his cultivation was Earth King realm. He was the leader of the Kuangshu sect. He persuaded the third prince to not accept it, and watch the Empress marry that loser guy. The third prince's reaction was like he was going to explode, but he eventually had some self-control. He said that he could not easily interfere in her affairs, but in his mind, he did not want to see a loser guy marry the Empress like that. He was so angry if that happened. Then, the old man announced that the Empress had arrived, and told them to welcome the husband of the Empress, Nin Tian. They all said that they heard that the husband of the Empress was a lowly disciple of their sect, and his cultivation level was only a 1-star warrior. Apart from his looks, he had nothing else. They wondered how he had managed to marry the Empress, and what secrets he had. The old man announced the name of the groom, Nin Tian. But our main character did not show up on time, and everyone was furious with him, and telling how dare he be late for the ceremony of his own wedding. Now our MC finally appeared, looking ashamed and embarrassed. He made excuses, saying that no one had told him that the venue was tens of thousands of meters away from where he lived. He had run like a madman, but luckily his cultivation had improved a lot. If he was still the same, he would not have been able to reach the place even if he ran for a day. He apologized for being late, saying that it was his first time getting married and he had no experience. He asked for forgiveness, while everyone was shocked and disgusted by his rudeness, lack of etiquette, and manners. He was just a handyman after all. The third prince was especially angry with him, because our MC had made the Empress wait for so long in vain. He dared to give such useless excuses. The third prince scolded him, saying that he was reckless and disrespectful. Our MC retorted, asking him if he was sick and why he was shouting like a psychopath on their wedding day. He twisted his words, saying that if he did not want them to proceed with the wedding, he should just say so. He accused him of being a distraction and preventing him and the Empress from sleeping together on their wedding night. Everyone was shocked and speechless by his boldness. They could not believe what they were hearing. They were also jealous and envious of him, because he had won the heart of the Empress. Because of this shock, our MC received a reward from the system, the heavenly demonic palm. Our MC did not expect this. And he was overjoyed. He smiled like a lunatic, as he realized that their wedding venue was a huge treasure trove. He had learned the heavenly demonic palm instantly. The third prince was even more envious, and he questioned himself if he was not handsome enough or powerful enough for the Empress. He boasted that he could crush our MC like an ant in an instant. He slammed his fist on the table, saying that he was the third prince of Dongxing, and he could not accept this humiliation. He shouted loudly, demanding that our MC need to stop. He said that he wanted to uphold the dignity of the Empress and challenge him to a duel. The guests all praised the third prince for being the most outstanding and powerful among the younger generation. They wondered why the Empress would choose someone so different from him. And also, they said that they knew what the outcome of the battle would be. The third prince said to the MC that he would not bully him as a loser. He said that he would only use half of his power, and that if he was a man, he would accept his challenge. The Empress watched this silently, while the pervert guy was happy to see this exciting event. The third prince thought that even with half of his power, he could easily defeat our trash MC. And as long as our MC accepted his challenge, he could use that as an opportunity to show off in front of the Empress. The guests also thought that there would be a good show. Our MC accepted the challenge, because it was an opportunity to get some rewards and shock everyone. The virgin third prince boasted that even if he used half of his power, it was still enough to crush him. He wanted to see how virtuous he was, and if he was worthy of the Empress. Everyone agreed with what he said. Our MC walked towards him, thinking that since the virgin prince was looking for a fight, he should not blame him for what would happen. He said that as his guest from far away, the virgin prince should go first. But the prince said that if he made the first move, he would be laughed at by everyone. He told to our MC to go first, and mocked him for being a loser. But our MC was expecting that, and he was waiting to hear that. He used the palm strike that he had acquired recently. The prince laughed at him, because of his stance. The sect leader and the elders saw this, and judged him for being a trash and a good-for-nothing. They said that he fell into the trap of provocation in a few words easily, and they were very disappointed in him. Meanwhile, our MC was ready, and said that his skill was not that great. He then jumped, saying that it was enough to crush him, but his palm strike changed color. The virgin prince uttered some nonsense words, as he did not expect this power. Our MC's palm strike was about to land on him, and he realized that this power was the heavenly demonic palm art. He was so scared that he almost shit his pants. He was shocked to see it. The sect leader did not expect this, either, and was also shocked by the MC's skills. The virgin prince seemed like he could not last long under this strike of our MC. The third prince wanted to unleash his true power to defeat our MC. He was furious, and tried to remove the seal on his power, but it did not work. He wondered why it was not working, and turned around to see that the Empress was suppressing him. Our beloved waifu did not let him go back on his word, that he would use only half of his power to fight the MC. That was why he lost. He could not endure and defend against the power of our MC, and he was flee to the ground, while wondering that he was defeated by a mere handyman trash. And he could not believe it, and because of that fight, everyone was shocked on what just happened. The virgin prince had actually lost. They could not believe that our MC used the heavenly demonic skill of their sect. They wondered where he learned it. The sect leader and the elders were also shocked by it. They said that he did not embarrass them. The Empress thought that our MC was actually the key to the heavenly demonic manual that could help their heavenly demon sect to rise again. She remembered that when they were doing the pleasurable event, he dared to use some demonic skill to suppress her. She could not believe it, and was so ashamed, while our MC was very happy, because he collected so many shock points, and got a charming physique skill. He did not expect it. He activated it, and all the girls became addicted to him. They thought that the MC became more charming. Some of the males also felt that way. They all became lunatics for him. He asked the system what it was doing, while he looked at the Empress. He saw that she was not affected by his charm, and he wondered why his charm did not work on her. He heard the words of the virgin prince, who was asking why he lost. He asked if everyone did not say that he was a trash, while our MC said that he was indeed a trash, a total trash. Everyone wondered what he meant by being a trash, when he could actually defeat the third prince. They asked if he was a crazy lunatic. He lectured them, saying that as a cultivator, they could not expect to achieve instant success. He asked if that was not trash, then what was it? They told him that it was difficult to reach the top in just one step. So how could anyone do that? They asked why they were trash and useless. Our MC said to them that the world was so vast, and people were so small. There were so many powerful and strong people in the world, that they could not do anything against that. He said that he would rather be able to recognize his place, but he told them that they were so arrogant with their powers and small achievements, and said that, in his opinion, they were just self-proclaimed geniuses. Everyone could not believe it, and this was their reaction. They believed the MC's bluffing words. The sect leader, the elders, and the members of their sect thought that his words and methods were ruthless. They said that our MC was just a small handyman, but he had the grace of a saint. Our MC aura dominated them. The sect leader asked him where he learned the palm skill that he used. Our MC said that he learned it from the Buddha scripture pavilion. He could not say that it was because of his system. The sect leader asked him again how long it took him to master it. Our MC was about to answer, but the sect leader said first that it was a year. If he was not wrong, our MC thought about what to say. If he said that he mastered it in 1 minute, it would be too much for them. He decided to say a longer period, and told them that it was a day, just 1 day. Everyone was astonished and shocked by his answer. They said that it was absolutely impossible. But our MC had a system, so it was possible for him. The sect leader approached him, and he could not believe it. He said that it was very hard to practice that skill, even for an ordinary person. Even the very talented Empress took 3 days to master it. And yet, he actually mastered it in just 1 day. He shouted that their sect finally had a disciple who was talented enough to rival the Empress, and even surpass her. Everyone said that our MC was simply a genius among the geniuses of all time. A notification from the system popped up, saying that he had shocked the elders and the leader of their sect, and rewarded him with 1,000 aura of cultivation. Our MC said that the system did not disappoint him, and he got a wonderful reward. He felt the large amount of aura pouring into his body. The sect leader was crying like a baby, and said that this was a rare event that only happened once in a lifetime. He asked the old man what he was doing. They needed to proceed with the wedding. The old man announced that it was time for the newlyweds to worship the heaven and earth. Everyone cheered and applauded, and said that they were a good match. Our MC wondered how just a moment ago, he was just a trash. But now he and his wife were a perfect match. He smiled like a perverted boy, and thought that no matter which world he was in, respecting the strong was the truth. They bowed to show their respect to the ancestors, and followed the tradition of their culture in the wedding. The Empress hoped that everything would be according to what their demonic ancestor statue said. If she married our MC, she could get the demonic manual. She recalled what happened a few months ago, when she discovered the secret of the heavenly demon sect in the back of the mountain forbidden region. She came to the forbidden land, and saw a big statue of their demonic ancestor. The statue said that if she married our loser MC, her ancestor would give her the manual as promised, and she also tell of what happened half a years ago. The 5 emperors, the 3 lords, and the 2 empresses would come to besiege their sect. Only by reaching the god realm could she be strong enough to fight them. If she wanted to break through and defeat them all, she had to become a god. But to accomplish that, she had to obtain and practice the demonic manual. It was a tradition, and it had been happening for years, that they had to marry someone with the godly physique. And our MC had that, so she had to marry him. Even though our MC was a loser who could not cultivate, she told that she would still want to marry him. But she did not know that our MC had obtained a system, and that the future would change. She also said that she would not let their sect collapse. Now the wedding ceremony was over, and the newlyweds were leaving. Everyone congratulated them and wished them happiness. But among the crowd, there was a rat, a spy who had witnessed everything. He had no time to waste. He had to report this event to his alliance leader as soon as possible. After the wedding, in the heavenly spiritual realm Righteous Alliance, some elders were talking about the recent rampage of the demon domain. They said that the demons were left by the heavenly demonic sect, and they discussed the beheading of our beloved waifu Luo Wu King. Their leader, Emperor Zhengtian, asked them about their plan and how it was going. The two elders, Shu of Jianmei and Elder Tianfeng, said that their plan was already ready, and they were just waiting for his order. They slandered our waifu and our MC, and mentioned that she suddenly got married to a good-for-nothing handyman. He said that he had also heard about that, and that the rat Guangshu had contacted him recently. He said that Guangshu had a report to give him, and asked the two elders to listen to it together. He got his spiritual item, the psychic gem, and the rat showed up. He said that there was a huge incident in the demonic sect. The rat was panicking, and his leader asked him what the problem was and why he was so nervous. The rat said that our waifu had deceived them all, and said that the person she married was not a piece of trash but a peerless genius among geniuses. The two elders were shocked to hear that, and said that they knew it wouldn't be that simple. The rat explained everything to them. He said that our MC name was Ning Tian, and that he claimed to be a useless handyman. He said that he did what he ordered him to do, and made Lin Xiaoyao, the third prince, have a duel with him. But who would have guessed that he was not a trash, and that he defeated the virgin prince with just one palm? He said that our MC learned the palm skill in just one day, and had a saintly word and advice. With just one word of their MC, everyone's hearts were broken. The two elders said that to achieve that was a legendary miracle, and they sensed that the man had something. It was a big deal for them and their plan. Their leader broke the spiritual gem. He was so angry, and he needed to find out the details about our MC. They needed to ensure that the demonic sect was eradicated, or they would all be in trouble. Now, in the Empress's bedroom, the two of them seemed shy and quiet. Our MC was thinking that everyone in the palace hall had reacted to his godly physique when he used the charm aura. But our waifu didn't react at all. He wondered why it wasn't working. Our waifu was combing her hair, and our MC felt a sensation that his body needed one more round. But he said to himself that he needed to focus and wake up. He said that he became her husband out of nowhere, and that if the system hadn't come around, he didn't know how miserable his life would have been without it. He wondered if his waifu would visit him in the future, and if he wanted to gain a foothold in this world, he needed to use his power. He ordered his system to activate the charming physique. He couldn't control his virtue, but anyway, after he activated his charm physique, he approached her. He thought that since no one else was around, he must try to shock her again. He wanted to see if it was the same as during the day when they did it. He called her, and she asked him what it was. He said that a moment of a single spring night was worth thousands of pieces of gold, and that they should do what they needed to do. She said to him that he knew that he had a special physique, and that his power could attract some little girls, but that his skill couldn't handle her. He was so sad because he failed, and he said that he was right, that his waifu's heart had reached an indestructible level. But she was removing her clothes, and he noticed it. He was so surprised about it. He couldn't believe that the second round would happen right now. She approached him, and said that if he wanted to do it, he couldn't, because he couldn't suppress her anymore like last time. She walked to the bed, and he asked her why it was. She said that he could try if he wanted, and she tempted him to do it. He cast some spell, and he fell into the trap. He said that for the sake of his dignity, he would prove himself to her right now. He was so excited, but he felt something locking him. He asked her what she did to him. She said that it was nothing, and that she was suppressing him with a little bit of her aura. She told him that he needed to sleep standing tonight. He was shocked, and demanded her to let him go. He said that they couldn't complete it like that, and that they needed to fight on the bed with real sword and gun, like a real couple. She ignored his nonsense words, and after hours passed by, he seemed tired and sleepy. He thought that she wasn't planning to let him go today, and that the gap and difference between them was too big. He said that he needed to just practice, because sooner or later he would let her know that the world was big, and the earth was big, and that he was the biggest. So he started to cultivate, and his cultivation level increased by 3-fold. After that night, he went outside to breathe some fresh air, and said that his wife was so annoying and ruthless, because she made him stand the whole night, and because he cultivated all night, he reached the 7-star Black Warrior level, but he was still only an upgrade of a 1-star. He was not fast enough to become strong and to suppress his wife, while the system popped up telling him that he could choose a place with abundant aura to cultivate. He thought of such a place that had abundant aura nearby, based on his memories. So our MC went there. In the primary cultivation ground, all the aura of the heavenly demonic sect was gathering there, and it was perfect for him. as it could accelerate his cultivation speed. Our MC was absorbing all the aura there, and all the sect members were talking about him, saying that the Empress's husband was cultivating there. They wondered if they had always said he was trash, but they were so surprised that our MC was absorbing the aura so quickly. Others said that he was clearly a genius. Our MC did not expect that the aura of the cultivation ground would be so abundant and pure, and said that it was truly extraordinary. But he said that it was still not enough for him, and he was totally disappointed. When they saw this and heard what he said, they were so shocked and could not believe it. They said that all the aura around was slowly entering his body, while our MC seemed to be increasing his cultivation. He released his 10-fold cultivation power, and he was so eager to level up. Now our MC was absorbing all the aura so fast, and because of that, all the members who were cultivating in that place were alerted and thought that there was an earthquake. Others said that it was the husband of their Empress, Ning Tian, who was absorbing the aura of the whole cultivation ground. The system rewarded him for shocking them with a water dragon step, and this skill was increasing. He successfully activated it, and he wondered that with this new skill that he acquired, he would have no problems making his entry and exit. Now he had a lot of aura stored in his body, but he realized that without an additional skill, his strength had not improved at all. As he was leaving, all of them were amazed. But before he left, he asked this girl where the techniques of their sect were located. She said that they were at the scripture depository, and she said that it was actually the day of opening. She informed him that there were so many techniques there, while she called him Patriarch. Our MC thanked her and asked why she called him Patriarch, because our MC was still a young man, in his early 20s, and wondered how he could be someone's patriarch. The girl was so shy and said that it was according to their sect's rule, that the one who married the Empress would become the patriarch of their sect. Our MC said that the patriarch sounded too old, so he told her that she should think of him as her older brother, and that it was better and more fitting for him to be called that. Oh boy, you won't believe it. This little girl was lustful, and felt pleasure with just a word. But anyway, she was so happy, and all the males of their sect were so envious of him. Our MC said that he would not disturb their cultivation training anymore, and he would take his leave, but they complained that the aura had already been sucked dry by our MC, so how could they train? Now in the heavenly sect scriptura depository, our MC felt refreshed, and asked this guy if they all wanted to enter the depository because it was a long queue, and it would last until the horse months of the year. The guy said that this depository was full of techniques and skills that successful leaders had searched for all their lives, and it was not surprising that there would be a queue for 3 days and 3 nights. But then he suddenly realized that it was their patriarch, so he shouted so loud that their patriarch was here. All the girls approached him and crowded him, while all the girls said that he was so handsome and they wanted to marry him. All of them were addicted to him. This guy said that our MC was indeed very charming, and not only did he marry their Empress, but he also captured the hearts of many of their female disciples. The others were angry and envious of him, and said that they wished they could have 1/10 of our MC's charisma. But suddenly this elder appeared and asked what the commotion was happening there. He said that they were so noisy in front of the depository, while using an intimidating aura. He asked them what they were doing, while all of them said that it was the old man, the elder Gu Yan. All of them, and all the girls, ran away, and our MC's happiness was gone. Now the elder said to him that he was known to be old-fashioned and strict, and he said that he was sent to the depository because he had contradicted the Empress, and said to him that if she stared at him, he would surely be left with nothing. I thought he would teach our MC, but he actually respected him, and said that he, Gu Yan, greeted him as a patriarch. All of them could not believe what they were seeing, that the old ass had become a good pet. And our MC did not expect this either. The elder also said that our MC was so famous in their sect, and his strength was unfathomable. It was normal for him to be impressed by him. He gave the token to our MC, saying that it was a key to access all the floors of their depository, and he could view or access everything. Our MC was thankful and happy, and thought that, how could this elder be so strict? If he handled things very well with him, our MC asked him, that he just needed to hold on to that ancient plate for now. The elder asked for forgiveness for his insolence, and said that the higher he went, the higher level of the skills were, and correspondingly, the requirement for the strength was also higher. He wondered which floor our MC would go to, but in the blink of an eye, our MC disappeared in front of him, and the elder was shocked by that. Our MC said to him, while leaving, that he wanted to go to the 5th floor. All of them were shocked, and could not believe that our MC was going to the 5th floor. They thought that even the most outstanding disciple could only go to the 4th floor, and except for their Empress, the Great Elder, and the Supreme Elder, no one else had been to the 5th floor. The Elder thought that our MC was so worthy of being their patriarch, who broke many Tao hearts with one word. He said that he was indeed unfathomable. Now our MC was there. He said that there was a mountain of aura in his body, so naturally he had to choose the best techniques for himself. While entering inside, he felt that he was in another dimension. He wondered about the black rank technique, star-absorbing skills, and the elementary earth rank technique, thunderbolt technique, electricity mastery, spiritual vein, opening. These were intermediate skills, like the earth-ranked technique, heavenly spirit skill, auxiliary aura absorption speed. These were appropriate skills for the opening of meridians that allowed aura to flow to his body. The more spiritual veins, the faster the aura flowed, and also the strength increased. That was all the aura in his body right now. So he said that he had to choose the best technique, but he said that it could only open up a dozen spiritual veins at most. And he said that it was far from enough. He saw the most attractive scroll technique, and he grabbed it quickly. He said that it was an advanced earth-ranked technique, the demonic king technique, and it was what he needed the most. He was so happy to obtain it. He activated his tenfold comprehension to learn that skill, and it was pouring into his body. He fully comprehended it, and a large aura burst out of his body. Because of that large amount of aura, it spread outside, and all of them were shocked. They asked if their patriarch had found an amazing technique, and they wondered what skill it was to cause such a strong aura. The elder called him using a sound transmission to confirm if our MC was okay inside. Our MC asked why the elder was calling him. The elder said that through the rule in their depository, the ancient plate allowed the one inside to communicate with the outside world, so he used it. Because of the sudden occurrence, he was so worried that our MC had encountered a problem. Our MC replied to him that there was indeed a problem, because too few spiritual veins had opened. The elder said to him that he did not need to be depressed, because it was normal. He said that if he opened more than 10, it was good. Our MC said that there was still more than half of the aura left, and he said that he had opened 100 of them. The elder was shocked, and said that the limit of the demonic king technique was 100 veins, and only a heavenly being could achieve that. He was so surprised that he could actually do it in just 30 minutes, and he said that his comprehension skill was incredible. The system popped up again and rewarded him for shocking the elder. He got the god's record. That could unlock the godly physique. After he got the god record, our MC explained that in this world there were martial arts that were divided into 5 categories, from high to low, God, heaven, earth, black and yellow. He said that this technique was the strongest god-ranked skill. Our MC had no more time to waste, so he asked the system to activate the tenfold comprehension, and to comprehend it. He started to cultivate it, but suddenly there was a problem. He couldn't absorb it, and it seemed he couldn't continue it. He asked himself why it was not working, and suddenly he felt a lot of pain all over his body. It was so painful for him that he fell to the ground because of the pain. He said that cultivating a god-tier ranked skill was so complicated for a person, and if you were an ordinary person, you would die instantly. But it was worth his problem in his god physique, and it opened so many veins for him. It seemed that he couldn't endure it, but he was dedicated to becoming strong, so he endured it. He felt that it was breaking his bones and rebuilding them again. But unfortunately, he only succeeded in comprehending 30% of the skill. Our MC seemed calm a little bit, but he was not happy about it. It was too early to be happy, so he thought to comprehend it completely. He said that 30% was not enough, and even with his tenfold comprehension, he only absorbed 30%. So he started again to cultivate harder, and he wanted to see what it was to have a god-ranked skill. He wondered how many spiritual veins he needed to achieve it. Meanwhile, outside of the depository pavilion, everyone was seeing the aura of our MC spreading outside. The girl asked the elder what that shining thing spreading in the air was. The elder replied to her that it was a spiritual sea, and explained to her that when a cultivator was cultivating, the aura would gather in the dantian like a stream. The more aura there was, the more beneficial it was to one's cultivation. He said that only when the amount of aura was huge would a sea be formed. The girl asked the elder if their patriarch actually had a high cultivation talent. A powerful tribulation formed and struck our MC while he was focused on cultivating. It was natural that when some cultivators reached a high level, they needed to prove themselves worthy of becoming powerful cultivators. Everyone witnessed this event, and they were so amazed and couldn't believe it. They said that their patriarch's spiritual sea had soared into the skies. Our MC endured it all, and many retributions struck him. But he didn't mind them at all. He focused on absorbing all of the aura of their heavenly demonic sect. The elder was amazed by him and couldn't believe that at such a young age our MC already possessed so much aura and had the best endurance. It was because of his godly physique that he could absorb it all and endure it. Our MC was truly dedicated to becoming strong, and that's why he was so amazing. The elders also said that our MC was truly a genius and an enviable young one. A powerful cultivator appeared there and said that it was so bold of him to approach there. He asked them who was coveting the aura of his sect. He was the supreme elder of their sect, the most powerful elder among them. Everyone was scared and shocked by the appearance of their supreme elder. They thought that their supreme elder was in seclusion, and that he had successfully broken through and reached the immortal emperor realm. Now that the supreme elder was there, they greeted him. The supreme elder was so angry and approached Elder Gu Yan. Elder Gu Yan also greeted him and congratulated him for breaking through to the immortal emperor realm in one fell swoop. He was panicking and said that now that they had him and the Empress, who were both powerful immortal emperor realm cultivators, no one would dare to bully their sect. The supreme elder shouted at him and was so angry. He said that this breakthrough was nonsense, and everyone was shocked when they heard it. The supreme elder said that it was so hard to reach that stage, and suddenly all of their sect's aura was being absorbed. He complained how a person like him could break through like that. He asked Elder Gu Yan who on earth caused that mess. Elder Gu Yan explained to him that because he had been in seclusion for a year, he didn't know about it. He said to him that the source of that strange phenomenon was the Empress's husband, their patriarch. The supreme elder was shocked and couldn't believe that his little girl Luo Qingqing got married. He asked who her husband was and where he came from and which sect he belonged to. He asked if he was the Divine Palace Emperor or the Holy Mistlord. Elder Gu Yan said that he was not one of them, but a disciple of their sect. The Supreme Elder couldn't believe it and said to them how a mere disciple of their sect could be worthy of their Empress. He also said that being married to an ordinary disciple was not as good as being married to an Emperor Realm cultivator, and that it was not good for building connections for their sect. He was so angry about it and released a strong aura. He asked them if that person was so worthy. Everyone knelt to the ground because of the strong aura of their Supreme Elder. But thankfully our beloved waifu showed up there. Everyone greeted her. The Supreme Elder asked her and was mad about it. He said to her that she was a ruthless girl and that the Righteous Alliance was eyeing their sect and might besiege them and their sect at any time. He said to her that if she wished to get married, she should have chosen a strong husband. He couldn't believe that she could afford to marry such a brat and unworthy person. He slandered our MC. Our waifu defended our MC and said to him that he needed to pay attention to what he was saying. She said that she was already the Empress, so he didn't need to worry about her personal affairs. The Supreme Elder got scared suddenly and said that he understood. Everyone was whispering that they didn't expect that their Empress would show no mercy to their Supreme Elder for the sake of their patriarch. Elder Gu Yan told them that they needed to lower their voices and not let him hear them while they were gossiping. Our MC was absorbing all the aura and a large thunder tribulation was striking him. Everyone saw this and said that it was a holy light. Thunder tribulation. They said that they thought that their patriarch was just cultivating a new skill and wondered why it turned into a tribulation. Our MC was focusing on his cultivation and a large lightning bolt, and many more were striking him. Everyone couldn't believe it and said that it was a thunderbolt tribulation. It seemed that the thunder was forming and passing through the spiritual sea. They thought that their patriarch was using it to open up his spiritual veins. Elder Guyan wondered how that was even possible. He had never heard of anyone using that tribulation to open up their spiritual veins like that. The Supreme Elder was so shocked and couldn't believe it. He asked her if her husband was really just an ordinary disciple because with such talent, it was very possible for him to reach the Emperor realm in just one day. He called her a ruthless girl. Everyone wondered why their Supreme Elder was calling their Empress like that. It was disrespectful to their Empress. Our waifu thought that it was because of his godly physique, that he caused this calamity and used it to open up his spiritual veins. She said that if that was so, the road to becoming a god was just around the corner. He was amazed by that. They saw a larger thunder tribulation forming into a dragon, and our MC's spiritual sea turning dim. It seemed that it was drying up. Our MC didn't mind it at all and focused on his cultivation. The thunderbolt dragon started to strike him, but actually our MC was absorbing it. They thought that what was worse was that if the aura was not enough and the thunder dragon directly entered his body, he would explode and die. Seeing this, our waifu rushed to go there and protect her husband. She told them that they didn't need to be so close because it was dangerous for them. She said that she would go and protect him and cast a powerful aura to counterattack the thunder tribulation. After that, when she was there with our MC, she watched him and wondered that she didn't expect that transforming the thunder dragon into a spiritual vein would require so much aura. Suddenly she was surprised to see that our MC actually forcibly absorbed her aura. Again, our MC sucked her up and their surroundings formed a large cover like a cocoon. Everyone saw this and thought that their Empress was protecting him. They couldn't believe it because it was the first time that it happened. They said that except for their ancestors, who else could enjoy such a treatment like that? On the side, our waifu said that our MC wanted to drain her aura and thought that our MC had a big appetite. She wondered how much our MC could absorb, and she wanted to see it, so she cast some spell and gave her aura to him, helping him to rise up. She said that she was actually using all of her Emperor realm power for him, while our MC was absorbing all of it. Our waifu was giving him all her power. She thought that the Thunder Tribulation's spiritual veins momentum was indeed out of the ordinary. But suddenly, our MC became like this and just smiled out of nowhere. She thought that our MC's revenge would begin. In the blink of an eye, our waifu's suit was shattered because our MC shattered it. She was shocked and surprised. Our MC held her body, and our waifu didn't expect it to happen. She was blushing. Our pervert MC thanked her and said that his waifu took off her clothes to protect him. What a good excuse from our MC. Our waifu asked him if he had not seen enough and told him to let her go before he did something to her. She was so ashamed saying this. Our MC didn't expect that his wife would protect him. He seemed to think that his wife didn't want him to die. While he was thinking this, our waifu seemed like she was going to explode and was so mad at him. But then the sky was back to normal, and everything was calm. Seeing this, Elder Gu Yan asked the Supreme Elder how many spiritual veins he had opened at his first opening. The Supreme Elder said that he was considered a genius back then, with a total of 80. He said that our MC was extremely talented, and he wondered if our MC had opened 40 to 50 of them. Elder Gu Yan asked how many spiritual veins he had opened. Our MC said that he would check it first. He said that there was obviously still more than half of the aura left, and that he had only opened 199. Everyone was stunned and shocked. The Supreme Elder couldn't believe that our MC had opened 199. After he said his spiritual veins, in the Dongxing Kingdom, in the imperial court, the physician Tian Lao was reporting to his lord that the place where the tribulation occurred was in the heavenly demonic sect. The emperor did not expect that so many events were happening in the heavenly demonic sect. He told the physician that after his son, the third prince, came back from that sect, his son lost his spirit and suffered from worries that were incurable by medicine. He became like a cripple. The emperor shouted to the physician, ordering him to contact the Righteous Alliance and say that they needed to discuss the matter of destroying the heavenly demonic sect. The physician replied that the emperor and the empress were there, but he said he did not seem to care. He was insistent on avenging his son. He was so angry. He also said that the heavenly demonic sect was becoming more and more powerful. He was so worried that they would replace him. He said they needed to act right now to eliminate them. Meanwhile, in the mountain, Emperor Zhengtian and the Shu of Jianmei Elder Tianfeng were witnessing the tribulation event. Emperor Zhengtian said that the tribulation thunder was quite big and wondered if it could be the empress of the demonic sect, Luo Wu King, who was breaking through to the god realm. Elder Tianfeng said that it was not the god realm. He said that if the empress had broken through, wouldn't that mean that they were going to die if they went to suppress the heavenly demonic sect in 6 months? Emperor Zhengtian said that he was right. He said that there was no way that Luo Wu King was becoming a god. He underestimated our waifu, and said how could she be? He asked the two of them if they remembered the Battle of the God Thrones hundreds of years ago. He said that so many Emperor Realm experts exhausted their lives trying to become gods. He said that, in the end, they failed on the road of becoming gods and died full of grievance. Elder Tianfeng said that the thunder tribulations were so loud that they could cause an alarm in the whole domain. Elder Shu asked them what could be the source of that. Emperor Zhengtian said that whatever it was, it did not matter anymore. He said that it must have something to do with the Empress. He said that now that the threat of the Empress was getting even bigger, the heavenly demonic sect must be dealt with as soon as possible. Now, in the heavenly demonic sect, our MC and our waifu had already come down to the depository pavilion. The Supreme Elder was so shocked. He did not expect that in their sect, there was such a powerful person. He said that our MC would become more powerful in the future, and could become a god realm. Our waifu touched the chest of our MC and he noticed it. He was confused. But his wife shattered his clothes out of a sudden, and all of them were shocked. Our MC did not expect it. It seemed it was the revenge of his wife for doing the same thing he did to her recently. Just kidding. He asked his wife if it was not a little inappropriate to do that. His wife was checking his body. He also said that there were so many audiences watching. The Supreme Elders said to them that they needed to turn around. His wife saw it now and said that his thought was right. She dispersed the remaining aura of the thunder tribulations. He did not know it and was so shocked. He asked his wife what it was. His wife said to him that there was a hidden damage left from the thunder tribulations in his body, and she helped him with that. He did not know that. He thought that his wife was going to kill him. It turned out that his wife was worried about him and wanted to help him heal. He said to his wife that he was so touched, he was about to say something else, but his wife cast a spell on him to send him away from there. He shouted his wife's name and she said to him that he was talking too much. Elder Gu Yan asked her if there was a problem with their patriarch and if he was okay. She said that she did not even use 10% of her power strength and their patriarch would not die. She told them that no one was allowed to speak of today's events, because if anyone spread rumors, they would be mercilessly killed. She asked them if they understood it, and released a strong aura when she said that. All of them replied that they understood. Now our MC was panicking because he did not know where his wife had sent him away. He landed in the stream in the hot spring and so many girls were bathing there. They were so surprised and shocked. Our MC wondered why his wife had thrown him away so far. All the girls asked their patriarch what he was doing there. Our MC noticed that he had hit the jackpot, but he thought that his reputation was going to be ruined because of this. He made an excuse that it was an accident, and said that they needed to listen to his explanation first. He said he was not the person they thought he was. This girl said that their patriarch had turned out to be a peeping Tom. She also said that if their patriarch really wanted to see them, they would show it to him slowly. She told him that he did not need to peep anymore, because they are willing to serve him well, and all of them rushed to him. They asked him if he needed some help and said they would do what he wanted. He jumped away from them and they asked him why he left so fast. They said that if their patriarch was there, it would have been wonderful to soak in the hot spring. Our MC was escaping and saying that his damn wife had almost made him a perverted peep. He said that his godly physique was dangerous and thought that if that had happened, all the girls would have sucked him dry. But fortunately, he did not cheat. Otherwise, he would have been in trouble for the rest of his life and would have been gone for sure. His wife suddenly showed up and asked him if he had washed up well. She asked him to follow her. Our MC was confused. Now the two of them were in the demonic cave underground where their ancestors' tablets and statues were. He asked his wife why he did not expect that their sect had such a place. His wife said that the place was a forbidden region of their sect, the heavenly demonic cave, where the spiritual tablets of all previous leaders were. He wondered why his wife was telling him this. His wife was wondering that as long as he got the manual for becoming a god and broke through to the god realm, their sect would no longer be afraid of any wicked people. She asked him if he wanted to do something for her. He asked what it was. She said that she wanted him to drop some of his blood essence over the stone statue. He thought that the blood essence represented the cultivator's purest energy, and that in case of dropping it like that, it was used to control the other person, which required a blood essence. His wife told him that he did not need to worry, because she did not wish to harm him. She said that if she had wanted to, she would have done it a long time ago. She asked him how he had survived until now. He wondered if his wife was telling the truth, and thought that if she, a strong cultivator at the Emperor realm, wanted to kill him, even with his system, he would still perish. He said that it was unusual for an empress to marry a servant, and that now that she had asked him to do something, he thought it must be important. He also wondered if it had something to do with their entire sect. After that thought, he agreed to her, and also thought that there was a big power gap between them. He wanted to see what his wife wanted first. Now, he started to get his blood essence and cast it to the statue's head. The statue released an aura and their ancestors woke up. Because of his blood essence, their ancestors were so happy and said that he had finally awakened. The two of them saw this, and she asked him if he was their sect founder. Ningtian was shocked and wondered how the founder of the sect was still alive, since it had been at least several thousand years, and say that how was that possible? While the ancestor was so happy, because after 1,000 years, he had finally found someone with a godly physique who was sent to him. He couldn't believe it because he was going to live again, while she asked him what he meant by that, and where the manual and the so-called way to become a god that he promised her. But he laughed at her and said that she was too naive for that. He told her that even by practicing with that manual, she would not be able to find the way to become a god, because it was just a rumor that he made up. He thanked her for her foolishness, because he was able to find someone who had a godly physique, which saved him a lot of effort. Ningtian heard it all and thought that it turned out that the Empress married him because of his godly physique. And to get that manual to become a god, his wife asked the Ancestor to confirm if the ancestral teachings that had been passed down from generation to generation in their sect were actually fabricated by him, and if the purpose of that was to help him regain his body and return to life. This hypocritical ancestor of theirs said that she was correct. He told her that the previous leaders were all useless because none of them could find the godly physique, but luckily, he said that because of her stupidity, he could get it now. He mocked her, and our waifu became furious and released an aura. She said to him that he had a death wish and suddenly cast a heavenly demonic palm at him. The founder saw this attack of hers, but he didn't mind it at all. He accepted the attack and let it land on him. A large impact of energy burst out. Our MC saw this and wondered if that strength was at the Emperor level. He said that compared to his power palm strike that he could produce, that palm strike of his wife was much stronger. While seeing this, I think the founder seemed that he wasn't affected by that attack at all. But anyway, he said to her that even though she was a strong immortal emperor, realm cultivator, she couldn't do anything to him, as an ancestor. And even though he was currently just in a spiritual state, he was not stupid enough to confront her head-on. His real motive was to take our MC's body, that targeting his godly physique. He hurried to approach him, while our MC replied, "Oh, he wants to take my body." He smiled and said to him, "Then, if that's so, he needs to come in." He happily accepted it. His wife rushed to him and said that it was dangerous. She tried to stop it, but the Ancestor got inside of our MC's body. She used Heavenly Demonic Palm to strike the Ancestor, but it was too late. The Ancestor was already inside of our MC's body. The Ancestor said to her that there was no way that he was getting out after entering. He laughed at her, while she was so shocked and couldn't believe it. Meanwhile, inside our MC's body, the Ancestor was looking for the main core of spiritual C of our MC to take over the body. While he said that according to him, the godly physique was the best of the cultivation physiques, and the ancient holy physique and even the heavenly palace physique were all beneath it, but he suddenly saw something that he didn't expect, that our MC had a very large spiritual C in his dantian. He was so amazed and couldn't believe it. He said that it was so unexpected, that our MC had an amazing cultivation talent, and also, he said that he was so lucky to encounter such a fortune in his life. He landed on it and saw another thing. He wondered where the thunder came from in his spiritual sea. He couldn't believe that the thunder dragon's spiritual vein was inside of our MC. Spiritual vein. It was his first time seeing it in his life, and he suddenly remembered that in ancient times, thunder and lightning had been the nemesis of the spirit. The slightest carelessness could make the spirit fly away. He was so nervous when he realized it, and said that he couldn't stay longer there in our MC's body, because he was sure that he would die. He started to flee, but our MC's spiritual spirit suddenly spoke out and said to him that now that he was inside his body, it was not so easy to get out. It seemed that our MC wouldn't waste this opportunity, and wouldn't let him go as he pleased. The Ancestor was so shocked and didn't expect it. He was actually bested like that. He thought that he must have known that his spiritual state was afraid of the thunder and lightning the most, and he realized that with the thunder dragon's spiritual vein in our MC's body, it was impossible to be taken by force, and realized that our MC did it on purpose, that he let him into his body. And he said that our MC was so vicious, and it was a remarkable method, while the system popped up, showing that he successfully shocked him and gave him a reward, a spiritual destruction skill. He was so happy about that reward and wondered if that skill was interesting. He went there to face him and asked him why his arrogance was gone now. The Ancestor said to him, while calling him a brat, that even if he was just a spirit right now, he was still in the immortal Emperor realm. He made some excuses about how he was not going to be captured by a mere brat like him. He was so nervous at this moment while saying this. He suddenly used a heavenly demonic palm to strike our MC. But our MC was so calm while seeing this action of him, while he used the Thunder Dragon Tribulation to block it, and the Ancestor was so shocked and said that it was impossible. But our MC ignored him, and started to gather all the Thunder Dragon Tribulation on his body. He used his newly acquired skill, the Spirit Destruction skill, to strike him. Now the Spirit Destruction Dragon going to land it on him. He used a demonic aura to make a shield to not be suppressed by it. But because it was his weakness, and it was such a powerful skill, his spirit was completely suppressed, and he was so angry because of that, and he didn't expect it, that is, was powerful. And he said to him that he couldn't even use half of his power while shouting it so loud. But our MC said to him that the Ancestor of the Heavenly Demon was needed to stop struggling and just turn into power for his godly physique. Hearing this, he was so pissed off at him. He said to our MC that he swore that he would kill him, but our MC ignored him. He told to his dragon Tribulation to devour him. The Thunder Dragon started to devour him, while the Ancestor was struggling with it. When he was completely devoured by his spirit, he said his last words that he didn't want to die like that. Well, it was hopeless to seeing it, but it was what it was, so RIP to him. Now that he was completely devoured, meanwhile in the outside his wife was murmuring. She was so sad, and she thought that the manual to become a god was all a rumor, and it was just a scam. While thinking this and looking at our MC's body, she asked herself about our MC. She said that if that was not true, then what was the point of doing that to him, of sacrificing her virginity to our MC? And she said that she couldn't let our MC live. I think she was serious about it, and wanted to kill him. Just kidding. She said that she needed to forget it, because she was the one who was deceived at first. So she said that she couldn't let him be taken by their so-called Ancestor, the Heavenly Demon, in front of her own eyes. She started to help him, but suddenly the barrier broke and shattered before he do anything. She was surprised by that, while our MC called her, but she wondered why he wasn't possessed by the Heavenly Demon. She hurried to check him, and she told him that the Ancestor was a strong cultivator in the immortal Emperor realm, and he was just a black warrior realm. He had absorbed all the power of the Heavenly Demon's spirit. While she couldn't believe it, our MC said that he had so much spiritual power that he got while cultivating in the past few days, while he was laughing. The system told him that he had crossed the realm boundary after forcibly absorbing the spiritual power of a strong cultivator in the immortal Emperor realm, and because of that, the difficulty of the absorption self-destruction was about to happen. Our MC didn't expect that. And he suddenly shouted so loud and feel that it was so hot, because his spiritual sea was boiling like lava, and also said that it was going to explode. While he panicking like that, his wife kissed him, and he was so surprised by that. His wife was sucking him dry, sucking the aura out of him, and also biting his lips. He felt that it was weird and wanted to stop it, but his wife told him that if he didn't want to explode, he needed to stay quiet. He was shocked and helpless, unable to do anything. He realized that his wife was helping him to suppress the large and violent spiritual power in his body. Now, when he realized it, he touched her waist and let her do what she was doing. And an hour later, his aura had disappeared, and his wife said that it was all done. She pushed him away while blushing. He thought that the process was exciting, but it was a bit abrupt. He saw that his wife had given him a spiritual pearl tool. He asked her what it was. She said that it was a spirit pearl formed with the energy of the spirit, and that it contained the aura of the Heavenly Demon. She told him that he could use it daily to absorb spiritual aura while he was cultivating. She also reminded him that his cultivation had to be gradual and continuous, and that he should not absorb too much aura at once, because she wouldn't be there to save him every time if he was in danger. He replied that he understood and thanked her. He asked his wife if they had deceived their ancestor by destroying the Heavenly Demon. When she heard that, she hurriedly to destroy the heavenly demonic statue of their ancestor. She said that the so-called heavenly demon had been deceiving them, and the other generations of their heavenly demonic sect, leader for its own selfish gain. She said that a person who was not worthy of being a member of the heavenly demonic sect could not be considered as their ancestor. She was angry about it, but the most hateful thing that pissed her off was that the manual to become a god was a lie and fabricated. She thought that without guidance on how to become a god, there was no way for her to break through. She said that if the Righteous Alliance attacked them, what would they do? But she said that there was nothing they could do about it, and that if their enemies came, they would fight them with all their might. Even if the heavenly demonic sect was destroyed, she swore that she would make whoever did it suffer in the future. He told her that he thought he was breaking through right now, while she, wondering if he truly had a godly physique, because within a few days he had several breakthroughs in succession, with such a speed, and it was a rare sight. While thinking this, our MC started to cultivate to break through while she leaving there, saying that she would go now and don't want to interrupt his cultivation, and let him cultivate in peace, while the system popped up and congratulated him for breaking through to the 8-star Black Warrior realm, and then he broke through again, and became a 1-star spiritual realm cultivator, and after that, he said that after entering the spiritual realm, the difficulty of cultivation had greatly increased, and so had the aura he needed. He thought that no matter what happened in the future, he had to stabilize his foundation first, in cultivating. Meanwhile, in the shadow demonic sect, a guy was reporting to his sect leader that Yin Sanshi was here. He was surprised and complimented him for breaking through again. This new character called Yin Sanshi was a bit happy about that compliment. He told him that his disciple had already reached the peak of the spiritual realm, and that he was just one step away from entering the Earth King realm. His sect leader said to him that he was only 20 years old, but his talent could be compared to those elders who were around 50 years old. He said that with his potential, their sect had found its next successor. But he said that it was a shame that their sect was being suppressed by the heavenly demonic sect, and that they would never be able to get ahead like that. He said that angrily, and told him that since ancient times, the demons had respected the strong. Yin Sanshi said that the heavenly demonic sect had their powerful Empress, who had been their leader for hundreds of years. His sect leader said to him that the heavenly demonic sect followed the demonic path, and they also cultivated demonic arts. But what pissed him off was that the sect leader was a woman who had a kind heart and a soft hand, and led the people of the demonic path. He said that the leader of the demonic path was their sect. While he was about to explode with anger, I think he looked like a crazy psychopath. But anyway, he said to Yin Sanshi that in 3 days, the heavenly demonic sect would be holding a Tao conference, and he would be there as a representative of their sect. He said to him that he had to remember, his presence there was to elevate their sect's reputation. He asked his sect leader what that meant. His sect leader said to him that everyone in the demonic path had been unsatisfied with the leadership of the Empress for a long time, but not long ago. The dark clouds covered the sun, and a thunder tribulation occurred. Because of that event, many people were left restless, so they planned to send their young geniuses. This guy was more happy hearing about that, and said that he had to trample the disciples of the heavenly demonic sect under his feet in front of everyone. Then the Empress would suffer a great loss. His crazy look disgusted me, while he said that it was exactly what he wanted, and he wanted to see how she could hold her position as the leader of the demonic path. When that happened, I think he was looking forward to the downfall of our waifu, but it wouldn't happen. But now, outside, our MC had finally finished his cultivation and refreshed himself while stretching his body. He said that he was so lucky because the heavenly demon was just in a spiritual state, and he happened to be restrained by the thunder and lightning, or otherwise he might have been killed by the so-called heavenly demon Ancestor. He said that from what he heard, the various forces were constantly fighting, and he wondered if he would definitely encounter dangerous situations in the near future. He said that his wife was right, that there wouldn't be someone to help him every time if there was danger. While he looking at the spiritual pearl that his wife had given him, the system popped up and said that it was a full moon night, and that it was full of aura, and that it was a good time to cultivate. He said that he had to work hard and increase his strength as soon as possible. He went to a good spot to cultivate and started to increase his cultivation. The members of his sect saw a person cultivating on the moonlight cliff so late at night. But when they realized that it was their patriarch who was cultivating, they were shocked. All the girls were excited and happy to see him. They said that on a full moon night, their patriarch was cultivating there instead of enjoying the night with their empress. Because of that, they became more energetic and crazy. They said that their patriarch was a hard-working and handsome man. While the male members, hearing those words, they were all become hype and motivated. But the truth is, they are angry and envious of him. The system popped up and said that he had shocked all the disciples and motivated them to cultivate. It rewarded him with a 10-fold moonlight aura absorption speed. When he heard that, he had no idea what they were shocked about, but he ignored it and went back to cultivate. He needed to focus with peace and without interruption. He ordered his system to activate the 10-fold moonlight aura absorption. Now that it was active, he absorbed the aura while holding the tool that his wife had given him. Because of the fast absorption, they noticed that the moonlight was going towards their patriarch, and they couldn't believe what they were seeing. They said that their patriarch was truly divine. The great elder spoke to them and asked them what they were doing. Gathering together in the middle of the night, they seemed surprised, but they told him that he had to keep his voice down, because they didn't want to disturb their patriarch's cultivation. He had no idea what they were talking about, but when he saw it, he was so shocked and couldn't believe it. He shouted loudly and asked if his eyes were seeing was right, because their patriarch was actually cultivating in the middle of the night. He also didn't expect that all of their disciples were also cultivating. He saw this with confusion. The guy near him told him that he had to stop making noise, because it would disturb them while they were cultivating. Our MC, who was focusing on his cultivation, was absorbing the aura of the moonlight. He broke through again and reached the 2-star spiritual realm. He said that it was not bad, and that if he continued like that, he should be able to reach the Earth King realm within 2 months. He seemed happy about that. The elders were shocked and said that it had taken them 2 years to break through from the spiritual realm to the Earth King realm. They wondered if our MC was planning to reach it in 2 months. They said that even though he made it seem as easy as drinking water, he was an abnormal young one. The other disciples couldn't believe it. One of them asked what that thing on their patriarch's body was. Our MC was happily absorbing all the aura, while he was posing like a holy enlightened Gautama. The system rewarded him with a faith cultivation by shocking all of them. Now after he get his reward, the system said that faith cultivation occurred when he was surrounded by his followers and cultivated with them. The followers' cultivation speed would be doubled, and the aura cultivated by his followers would replenish him and his host. He wondered if that replenishment was good. He also said that there was no shortage of followers, but he wished he could get the Great Elder too. With that strength, the aura that replenished him would be even stronger. He jumped down to them, and they were all amazed by him. He approached the Great Elder in a hurry, and the elders were shocked. They had no idea what their patriarch was going to do. After he reached him, he greeted him and told him that he saw the night sky and the moonlight. He said it was particularly bright and the aura was abundant. He asked him to join him and said that maybe they could gain a lot. The elder said that there was no need, because he had somewhere else to be. He thought that in the past, the moonlight was the same for him, and wondered what they could gain. All the members of their sect were happy and cheered for their patriarch, because they broke through. They couldn't believe it and thanked their patriarch for that. The elder was shocked and stunned and thought about what kind of luck they had to cultivate collectively. He said they also broke through like that. He changed his mind and decided to participate with them. He made some excuses and said that since their patriarch had invited him so kindly, he couldn't refuse. Our MC was happy to hear that. Because of the excitement, the elder took the initiative to start cultivating and said that they would begin. Our MC looked at them and stood in the middle of them. The elder felt weird and asked why he didn't feel anything special. The disciples told him that he needed to shout that their patriarch was the coolest. He was angry to hear that and said that as the heavenly demonic sect's great elder, he couldn't say such a shameless word. I thought he would stop there, but he shouted so loud that their patriarch was the coolest. He gave up his pride by saying that, and he felt ashamed, but a bright light and an aura entered his body. He said that a double aura entered his body, and he became more energetic. He said the words again that their patriarch was the coolest. Our MC also started to cultivate. He said that because of the elder and the aura of the moonlight and the pearl, the power of faith would increase. He also said that the effect was indeed greater. He focused on cultivating. The elder was happy and seemed to become more meek. He said that with their patriarch there, the heavens had truly blessed their sect. He looked at him like that. After that night in the heavenly demonic palace, his wife was sitting quietly on her throne, waiting the great elder to start their meeting. Suddenly the elder jumped off there and asked for forgiveness because he was late that morning. She asked him why he was late and wanted to know what happened. He said that he followed their patriarch to cultivate at the Moonlight Cliff last night, so he was late because of that. The other elders next to him said that their patriarch was only at the Black Warrior realm, so how could he join them when the gap was so high? They asked him like that. He said that they didn't understand, that he cultivated with the patriarch, and because of that the aura became more abundant and effective than usual. The other elders and the members of their sect listened to his explanation and became curious. They said to him that, although he hadn't had a breakthrough yet, his aura had definitely consolidated. The others asked him to take them with him if he was going to cultivate with their patriarch. While they were talking about that, his wife said that her husband didn't come back all night and made such a fuss. She thought that and asked everyone to get back to their main topic. She said that the Tao conference was about to begin soon, so there would be countless geniuses coming to their sect. Even if it was a friendly matter, she reminded them that the disciples of the heavenly demonic sect must not fall behind the others. She asked them if they understood that. They said they understood, and said that they wouldn't disappoint her. 3 days later, all the genius cultivators were there at their sect. This girl said that she was from the Great Stone sect and greeted them. The other guy said that he was from the Splitting Mountain sect and pay respect too. And there were also other sects like the Heavenly Soaring sect and the Shadow Demonic sect. While seeing this, the disciple of Heavenly Demonic sect were surprised, and didn't expect that so many cultivators from the other sects had come to their conference this time. The guy next to him said that even the 3 great demonic geniuses were there. The genius of the Heavenly Soaring sect, Ling Ao, the chief disciple of the demonic sect, Yin Sanshi, and they said that there was a gossip that he was so vicious that he slaughtered a whole village on his own. But they said that the Shadow Demonic sect and their Heavenly Demonic sect had always been at odds, and it was difficult to say if he came to their conference with good intentions, or if there was something else brewing. While they were saying that, they suddenly turned around and smelled something good. The girl said that it was the Saint Yaochi. They were so shocked and couldn't help but look. They said that they had no dispute with anyone, and that they didn't come to the Empress's wedding either. They also said that this time, a saint had come. While Yaochi was going there, the member of the Heavenly Demonic sect welcomed them and introduced himself as Li Changsheng, the one who would guide them to the conference stage. The girl saw so many people on the top of the cliff, and it caught her attention. She said to her senior brother that there were so many disciples of the Heavenly Demonic sect, cultivating on the mountain peak over there from a distance. Li Changsheng said to them that the person on the peak of the mountain was their patriarch, who was leading them to cultivate. The 3 of them reacted like this, and they seemed curious about him, and about the identity of that patriarch, the husband of the Empress. Ling Ao said that it was just the spiritual realm, and that he couldn't even take care of himself. He wondered why he was leading others, and said that it was nonsense. On the cliff of the mountain, many disciples of their sect were happy again because they broke through once more. They didn't expect it and thanked their patriarch. The event was going to start, and the other sects were going there. Our MC also started to go there and said that this event was an opportunity to improve his skills, so how could he miss it? He went there hurriedly. On the conference stage, it seemed that it had started. There were 2 boulders that this guy was smashing. He said that the Great Mountain sect's power was infinite, and asked him to guide him as his senior brother in the Heavenly Demonic sect. His senior brother replied that of course he would guide him, but this guy became like a Hulk and released his full strength. He said that he would surely guide him and punch the rock. The rock shattered around because of that powerful punch. The great elder saw this and was happy. He said that they had an elite disciple, so they would definitely achieve a total victory in their conference. She said that he didn't need to rush to his conclusion, and that he didn't need to be too happy, because there were 3 most difficult opponents that hadn't taken the stage yet. While she was saying that, our MC suddenly showed up and asked her about the 3 most difficult opponents. He said to her to let him see them. While eating an apple, his wife looked at him seriously. This guy Yin Sanshi went to the stage and asked them if some of them were cultivating the Tao of sword or the Tao of music. He said to them that each path of the Tao had its own characteristics. He introduced himself and smiled at them. He said that he was Yin Sanshi and that he didn't care about any of them. He only wanted to talk about what the Tao was. They all said that the shadow demonic sect was there to cause trouble. They wondered about that question because the Tao was truly mysterious and no one could solve it. Yin Sanshi asked if there was no one who could answer it. He said to them that for thousands of years, no one had thought of that. He said that today he would let the heavenly demonic sect get on the stage and that if they could, they should get off. He smiled at them. His wife thought that it was said that if one understood even a bit of the Tao, they could break through without even cultivating. She said that the shadow demonic sect had come prepared to take them down and to slander them at their own event. Their elders panicked and asked them what they were going to do to drive Yin Sanshi away for causing trouble to their sect. The great elder said that if they did that, their sect would lose face. He also said that the shadow demonic sect was waiting for this opportunity to take them down. He asked him again what they should do and suggested that they admit defeat for today and let them slap them in the face like that. While they were arguing with each other, our MC, who was eating his apple, said to his wife if all the shadow demonic sect disciples were sissies like that, and he also said that it was a pity because he was just like a woman in men's clothes. I think he was referring to him as a woman who was talkative and always making trouble. While our MC slandered him and made him like a joke, Yin Sanshi was so angry and furious to him that he wanted to punch our MC's face, and he wondered if that guy was the patriarch, the husband of the Empress, and said that our MC was such a worthless man for the Empress. He also said that it was a pity. Others also heard what our MC said to Yin Sanshi. They say that the most hateful thing that Yin Sanshi was hate is being called as a woman, and asking them of who is that crazy man. That offend Yin Sanshi, cause they say he will be in big trouble because of that. But Yin Sanshi didn't want to flatten out and say that no one in the entire heavenly demonic sect can answer him, like they're wasting their time on this conference, and say it was so pity. While our MC say to him while calling him a sissy that his question is so simple and not worthy of being asked at a Tao conference, while sitting there so calmly and relaxing while holding his apple. When Yin Sanshi heard that, he felt that the Empress's husband was so confident and calm. He wondered if he really had an answer to his question, because he said that it was impossible. He said that he had been preparing that question for a long time, and he said that the stupid patriarch, our MC, was only in the spiritual realm, so how could he know? While he was looking at him, the elder asked their patriarch if he knew the answer to the question of that disciple of the shadow demonic sect, Yin Sanshi. He said to them that while he was going to the stage, he didn't know what was so difficult about that simple question. He said to them that they just needed to take a good look at him. While their sect members didn't expect that their patriarch was going to enter the stage, now that he had landed there, all of them were cheering him and saying that their patriarch had shocked them too many times. They asked him how he would shock them this time around. While Yin Sanshi said to him that he saw that he was young and his level was low, and asked if the demonic heavenly sect really wished to be as hasty as to send him to answer his question, our MC lectured him that sometimes some things were not determined by age, while in the opinion of the other sect, this guy Ling Ao said to him that it was stupid to call that question simple, and he supposed that he was just talking nonsense, while beside him, the Saint Yaoqi had no comments about it. Now our MC started to entertain them, calling Yin Sanshi a sissy. He said that he was ready to tell him the answer that he really wanted. He said that the Tao was formless, soundless, and scentless, and that it was vast with no boundaries and tiny with no space. He said that the Tao created all of heaven and earth, and that it was a wild energy that dominated everything in the world. While all of them heard it, his sect members were so happy and didn't expect that. They said that their patriarch's understanding of the Tao was so deep and unfathomable, while others said that they couldn't understand their patriarch's words. This girl said that regardless, she thought that their patriarch looked so cool, while Saint Yaoqi thought that our MC was truly worthy of being the legendary patriarch, and that he was so amazing that he could stabilize the situation with just 2 sentences. While Yin Sanshi didn't believe his words, our MC asked him what he was talking about. He said to him that it was so hard to be that uneducated to understand it. He said to him that he needed to listen to him carefully, that for him, there wouldn't be a lesson like that. He said to him that there were 3,000 paths, and each of them had their own understanding. Like the sword Tao, for example, That path used the sword intent. It was the swordsman's understanding of the sword. He said that if the person who practiced swordsmanship understood the sword intent, then he could say that he understood the sword Tao. By analogy, what was Tao? He said that he didn't need to explain them one by one. He asked him if he was right about that. While he's smiling at him, his sect members were shocked and wondered what he said. They thought that if that was the case, there were 1,000 kinds of Tao among those paths, and they didn't expect that every one of them was unique in its own way. While they were thinking that, he said to them that the Tao was simply their path that they chose in their life, and among the 3 thunder paths, when they succeeded in cultivating one, the Tao was already in their heart. Otherwise, how could they succeed in cultivation? Hearing that, all of them were amazed and shocked. They couldn't believe it, and they said that they got it. They said that their patriarch's words had enlightened them and solved all their issues, while others thought that they were going to break through. While Yinsanshi didn't expect it, he said that it was impossible. He said that to cultivate the Tao, to understand the Tao was in the heart. He asked him if it was just that simple. As he said that, he suddenly broke through, and he was shocked by that. He was so confused about what was happening. While our MC said that the guy Yinsanshi didn't admit it with his mouth, but his body seemed honest. As he looked at him in a confused state, he didn't expect that his casual talk could shock all those talented people. He said that those guys were so easy to fool by him, and the system rewarded him and gave him a bonus skill card, a great Emperor strike. He said that he could use the strike of a peak immortal Emperor realm, and after he used the skill card, it would become invalid. He seemed happy with what he got, and said that this newly acquired skill of his could be used as a life-saving trick for them if he encountered a powerful enemy whose realm was several stages higher than his. While the elders were amazed, and said to him that one wise thought from him shocked the hearts of many talented people. And now he cleared up everyone's doubts. While saying that with admiration, they said that their patriarch was truly a rare blessing for them. Because of that, Yinsanshi admitted his loss and gave him his respect. He turned around and started to leave the stage. As the audience cheered and applauded him as the patriarch of the heavenly demonic sect, they said that their patriarch was so amazing. While Yinsanshi murmured that his plan had failed and his sect leader had made a move because of that, and because he had failed his task, he said that even though he had answered his question, after he returned to his sect, the heavenly demonic sect would suffer a huge loss of face. While another arrogant guy who hid his true face asked him to guide him, and said that he was Ling Ao from the Heaven Soaring sect, and he wished to discuss the sword Tao. While our MC thought that the show was just starting, because he said that this guy, Ling Ao, was the most powerful among the 3 geniuses, and his strongest point was swordsmanship, while others wondered if he could still stand victorious. He seemed so excited and said to bring it on. He thought that this was a great chance and time to test his martial arts, given by his system. While Ling Ao said to him that the shadow sword in his hand was a treasure-grade weapon, and he started to attack him, he pulled his sword and swung a powerful sword technique at him. While our MC calmly stood there, waiting for the attack to land on him, but the attack landed on the ground. While others saw that technique of Ling Ao, they said that it was a powerful attack, and argued if that treasure-grade weapon was that good. While explaining that the weapons of the domain were generally divided into 5 grades, one was the magic weapon, spiritual weapon, treasure weapon, immortal weapon, and lastly artifact, and they said that they had heard that there were grades above artifact, but no one had seen them. While our MC heard them, he said, "I see," but he also said that the weapon was just secondary, and its effectiveness still depended on the users. While Ling Ao asked him why he didn't have a sword, and how they could discuss the sword Tao if he didn't have one, our MC replied to him that he didn't have one. While he said that to him, all of his sect members wanted to give their sword to him, saying that they had a good sword that he could use. But our MC said that although he didn't have a physical sword, he had other ones, and showed this. Ling Ao was so shocked to see that the aura was turning into a sword. He said to him that his swordsmanship had reached complete perfection. While our MC said that his technique was called Sword Intent Dragon, while casting it, it attacked Ling Ao. Ling Ao was so nervous about that, but the attack didn't land on him. It landed on the mountain peak. While the audience witnessed it, they said that it was so much more powerful and an incredible technique. While they were so amazed, our MC said to him that his hand had slipped away, and said, "Sorry for that," because even though he understood sword intent, he still needed more practice to master it. While Ling Ao was so stunned and he couldn't believe it, he said that the sword intent of him and the one he mastered were not at the same level at all. He said that there was really always someone better, and he said to him that he would surrender and accept his loss in their exchange. While all of them were so amazed and happy for their patriarch who won, they couldn't believe that their patriarch had actually defeated the most powerful genius of the demonic path. While they cheered him, he wondered if he had at least got a chance to fight someone and test his sword intent. While the host asked Saint Yaochi if she would come to the stage, this girl seemed to be attracted to him. She said that she was not there to discuss something or about the Tao, because she was there to... But before finishing her words, there was suddenly a demonic aura that tried to attack him. Our MC was so nervous at that time because his aura was being suppressed, and because of that, he couldn't move. He was forced to kneel on the ground. He wondered if it was an immortal realm cultivator, and thought who was that person who was attacking him. The powerful aura emanating from them suppressed everyone, but his wife managed to counter it with a spell, dispelling the oppressive energy. The onlookers praised their Empress for her strength and quick action, and they are grateful that she intervened. While our MC was standing there, his wife addressed the old shadow demon, questioning why he had been hiding like a rat. The shadow demon appeared, laughing as he revealed that the 5 major sect leaders were dissatisfied with her leadership of the demonic Tao. They demanded she hand over her position, accompanied by the leaders of the Poison Valley, Demonic Soul Sect, Yin Yang Sect, Scorpion Gate, and the Shadow Demonic Sect. The 5 powerful cultivators of the Immortal Emperor realm united to challenge the Heavenly Demonic Sect, leaving everyone shocked. He marveled at the strength of these immortal emperors forcing their way into their sect, wondering if his wife could stop them. The system assured him not to underestimate his wife's power and advised him to enjoy the spectacle. Despite his doubts and nerves, he vowed to use his emperor's punch skill if needed to assist his wife. As she confronted the 5 leaders, challenging their worthiness, they underestimated her cultivation. She asked them if they wanted to be the leader, and if so, they needed to prove their worthiness. As she looked at them, while hearing that they were all amazed and said that their Empress didn't pay any attention to them at all, they wondered if her cultivation was so high that it far surpassed theirs, and that was why she was not afraid of them. While Saint Yaochi said that it seemed like their battle will become inevitable, he cheered on his wife, impressed by her dominance. The old scorpion warned her not to be arrogant, prompting the Elder Soul Destroyer to reveal their sect's treasured soul-destroying diagram. As the old man pulled out his soul-destroying diagram, a lot of soul skeletons spread around. He said that it was a low-grade immortal weapon, and that he had used 9,999 souls to refine it. He told them that their souls would be trapped in there forever, and unable to reincarnate. Although he couldn't summon that many souls for the time being, he could still summon a mere 3,000 of them. While he was telling that, everyone was shocked, nervous and scared. They said while panicking that the immortal weapon was extremely strong and powerful. It was said that some were even able to let the holder cross realms and defeat their enemies. Even if one appeared, all the sects would fight for it to death. They also said that it was such a strong weapon, and that they were worried that the Empress was in trouble. They added that the diagram was so wicked, while the soul skeletons were spreading around. Our MC stood in his defense stance, but his system assured him that there was no need to worry. His thunder tribulations could easily subdue the soul's destruction technique. The system mentioned that the 3,000 souls were a valuable resource for him, each capable of powering up his soul pearl. He acknowledged that it wasn't a bad situation and instructed the system to acquire the destruction diagram. Meanwhile, his wife remained calm and relaxed, observing the scene. She noted that the low immortal weapon seemed to have been meticulously prepared for a long time. As she made this observation, the group of adversaries became furious and grinned like demons. In response, she calmly stated that they had all been preparing for this moment. The group, now agitated, threatened her, boasting about their immortal weapons and their plans to defeat her. Our MC reassured his wife, proclaiming that the old men were merely boasting. He emphasized that the effectiveness of a weapon depended on its wielder, and confidently offered to handle the old soul destroyer himself. Enraged by his words, the old man insulted him, claiming he could easily defeat him without his wife's protection. As the old man advanced towards our MC, his wife suddenly ascended into the sky, the surroundings turning red. She declared her status as a peak immortal emperor realm with 9 stars, challenging her opponents. Shocked and disbelieving, the adversaries turned to the old shadow, questioning why he hadn't disclosed her true power. Nervously, an old man rushed forward, dismissing her peak status and suggesting that they could overpower her with their combined strength. The old shadow advised him to utilize the 3,000 souls to deal with the others. The old man then commanded his souls to attack, prompting the group to rush towards her. In response, his wife unleashed a powerful palm strike, engaging in combat alongside the elder and other sect members. The elder led the charge, urging the sect elders to join in the battle against the souls. Meanwhile, our MC muttered confidently, declaring that the 3,000 souls were insignificant. He warned that anyone who dared to challenge him would ultimately turn to ashes as he gathered his aura. The elders observed him as he spoke, stating that each soul was equivalent to the Earth King realm's existence. They noted how their patriarch, though only in the spiritual realm, remained composed when facing the souls. In response to his calm demeanor, the system rewarded him with a Thunder Tribulation restraint. He successfully comprehended the tenfold Thunder Tribulation restraint formation and was now prepared to utilize it. Placing his hand on the ground, he activated the technique, electrifying the soul's skeletons and the user himself. The Soul Destroyer, an old man, was restrained and suppressed by the electrifying power. Our MC said to him that he wanted him to help him find true freedom. What he did was not that much, while all of them were so shocked and didn't know that their patriarch had created the formation in just a few seconds. They asked if their patriarch was a formation master, and also said that their patriarch was so mysterious. Obtaining the diagram soul scroll technique, he expressed gratitude to the old man for the 3,000 souls. Amidst the chaos of his wife and the 5 elders battling, he thanked the old man and requested assistance in finding true freedom. While hearing those words, the old destroyer asked them on how is that possible, that he had actually refined his diagram, and asking if the guy was really not a trash good for nothing. The old shadow demon speculated that he had feigned weakness to deceive them. As they were arguing, his wife said to the 5 of them that they had no power to fight back, but they still had time to chat. She then launched a powerful attack, a palm strike, saying that the 5 of them needed to die. The old man told his ally that they had to watch out and use their spiritual power quickly, but the 5 of them failed to defend against the attack successfully. The heavenly demonic palm was so powerful that they were sent flying to the ground. The old man thought that they had fallen into their trap. Now that the 2 of them had joined forces, he said while wiping the blood from his mouth, that they could only sacrifice their immortal weapon to kill her, and then they could deal with the rest. The old guy next to him agreed with what he said, and said that if they did not unite, they would meet their end, and nodded sign that they all need to act right now. The group united their powers, launching a powerful attack that she barely managed to withstand. The old man urged his ally to act swiftly, rushing towards the protagonist with anger for refining the diagram soul weapon. At the same time, his wife watched in panic, calling out his name as the situation escalated. She became furious and threatened them. "If you dare to hurt him, I will tear you apart into pieces." She released a powerful aura that made them fly away. As they coughed, she followed up with a heavenly demonic palm attack that sent them flying away. One by one, they received a critical hit from her palm and fell to the ground. But while she was busy with them, the old man who was attacking our MC finally landed a blow on him. Our MC was standing and waiting for an opportunity to counter, while his wife was panicking and rushing to protect him. The elders watched the situation nervously, wondering if their legendary patriarch was destined to die today. Ling Ao thought that the Shadow Sect and the other sects were too wicked, and he wanted to help. Saint Yaochi told him not to act rashly, as it was a battle between immortal emperor cultivators. She was also anxious and said that they could not interfere. Our MC shouted at the old bastard and released his aura. He told his system to activate his Great Emperor Strike skill card, which showed up with a domineering power. He asked it to go and attack the old man, who was shocked and incredulous. He said that it was impossible for him to use an immortal emperor power, and wondered if he was an immortal emperor. Our MC was furious and determined to crush him. He said that the old man deserved to die there. The two of them clashed, and he used his controlling soul palm skill card to suppress and attack the old man. A large explosion occurred because of his powerful strike. Everyone in Lingao was stunned and could not believe it. He said that a strong cultivator of the Emperor realm was turned into dust with just one strike. He was confused. While our MC was quietly standing there, looking at the ground, something seemed to be happening to him. His wife walked towards him, confused and thinking. She wondered how he could release an aura of an immortal emperor when he was clearly only in the spiritual realm. As she approached him, he suddenly vomited blood and passed out, losing consciousness. He fell into her arms. She asked him if he was hurt, and he had another score and a perverted thought in his mind. Just kidding. He thought that his wife still cared for him, even though she was heartless. He was in a good spot. The elders also rushed to him, calling him patriarch and asking if he was all right. They all seemed nervous. His wife handed him to them, saying that he was all right. She said that he just passed out from exhaustion. She became even more furious and angry at the four old men. She said that it was time to settle their accounts. She burst out her aura, and the four old men were scared and ran away. They said that they needed to escape as soon as possible, but she did not let them go. She made an arrow of her aura and released it to strike them. She said that there was no way that she would let them go as they pleased. The four of them were hit by the arrow and landed on the ground. The old man of the Shadow sect seemed to have some energy left. He stood up and talked to her. He said that she was crazy to do that to them. He used a blood escape technique and disappeared, while she ordered the elders. Now that the immortal emperors of the four sects have been taken care of, we need to go and finish them off. The elders nodded and said that they understood. Meanwhile, in the Righteous Alliance, an old man was shocked and could not believe that the four major sects were gone. He said that the Shadow Demonic sect, the second largest sect of the demonic Tao, had led the four immortal emperors to force the heavenly demonic sect, but unexpectedly, only the old shadow demon had escaped with serious injuries. He also said that the good-for-nothing husband of the Empress had summoned the power of an immortal emperor to kill the Elder Soul Destroyer. He said that Luo Wu King was also extremely powerful at the peak of the immortal emperor realm, and asked how many would dare to provoke her. He thought that the good-for-nothing husband of the Empress might have been given some means of protection by her, which was why he could kill the old man. Another old guy said to him that despite that, the names of the heavenly demonic sect and the patriarch had now spread through the heavenly spirit domain. He said that it was not an issue for them, because when their void, God Heavenly Palace's leader came out from seclusion, and with them being at the peak of the immortal emperor realm, how could Luo Wu King be their opponent? He ordered him to tell everyone that many disciples that had been sent out for training, that if they met the heavenly demonic sect's disciples, they should kill them without mercy. He replied that he understood. After that conversation, 3 days later, at the pool in the heavenly demonic sect, our MC was lying down there. He suddenly woke up and wondered if he was still alive. He felt that his whole body was falling apart. He thought that he was going to meet his end with the old man that he had faced off. His wife was there watching him. She murmured, "Is my husband awake now?" She was worried about him because it had been 3 days and he had not woken up. He noticed his wife and turned around and looked at her. While looking at her, his wife said to him, while removing her clothes, "No matter how long it takes, she will definitely wait for him and do her best to wake him up." While our MC acted like a perverted man again. He thought that his wife was crude with words, but actually soft-hearted. She was a typical person who acted cold but was warm on the inside. He was happy and wanted to continue faking that he was not awake yet. He had an idea that he should not expose himself, and wanted to wait for his wife to come over to him, and then he would surprise her. His wife approached him, with no cover on her body. He was excited and blushing. He wondered, saying it was his first time that he had seen her body so clearly, and say that he was too impulsive last time, so he didn't get a clear impression of it. While his wife reached him and touched his chest, she said, "Your Holy Yang physique can activate the healing aura of the Holy Pool and accelerate your recovery. But the aura I need for your treatment makes your vitality surge, so all your clothes must be removed." Fortunately, her husband is still unconscious. She noticed something strange. She felt that the heart of him was beating very fast. She wondered if his injury had worsened again. She became worried again and checked his condition, sweating. He took advantage of this and smelled the aromatic scent of his wife. He was happy about smelling all the aroma of his wife. His nose was bleeding. His wife noticed his nosebleed and wondered if an unconscious person could have a nosebleed. She thought that it was not possible. She was stunned and shocked. She asked him, "Are you awake already?" He was very energetic, seeing his wife naked in front of him. His blood was gushing out of his nose. He continued to pretend and said to her, "Good morning, my dear. How did you sleep last night?" His wife said to him that she couldn't sleep well without him, while he replied that she are so pretty. And the fog was disappearing little by little, and he became more crazy and energetic when he saw his wife's body clearly. His wife blushed and seems that she become shy. She said to him, "You have such a smooth tongue," and because he was awake now, he needed to get dressed. She turned around and ordered him to come with her. He thought that her shy side was very cute. He couldn't believe it. He said that he didn't expect that his wife had such a charming side. He got dressed and followed his wife. He asked his wife where they were going. Everyone was cheering and greeting him. They congratulated him on his successful recovery and said that he would elevate their sect's might again. They were all happy to see him and shouted loudly.
So that all for now, guys. See you in the next chapters.